Okay, 4.1 is decimal notation, order and rounding. Okay, decimal notation. First of all, we want to know how to write a number in words, a decimal in words. So if you have the number, let's say 492.34, you would write that number 490-2, where the decimal is, say and, write this as if it had been over here, 34, so 30-4, and then we need to write the place value. We would say, if it was only that number, we would say 3/10. But we're not going to write 3/10. This is 34 tenths hundredths. So where the last number is the place value that we write here. 100 THS, hundredths. Okay, let's do another one. Let's have one that has a few numbers behind it. 243. Okay, if it's dollar sign, let's only put two numbers right now. Here we would say 240, F-O-R-T-Y, 40-3, and 75, 70-5, tenth hundredths, THS, dollars. When you're writing something in words, you would do it as if you were saying it. So, and 75 hundredths, and that's dollars. Okay, let's just do a number with, let's put 4 numbers after it. This one will be 24, 20-4, and, okay, write that as if it did not have this in front of it. You would say 6,321, not 6,321. No ands except where the decimal is. Okay, so we write this, and 6,300 20-1, 20-1. Oh, we do need a comma after 1,000. 6,321. Now we need the place value of the last number. Tenth, hundredth, thousandth, 10,000. So 10,000, T-H-O-U, let me write that again, T-H-O-U-S, 1,000, T-H, 21, 10 thousandths with an S on it. So that's how you would write that number. Okay. Let's do one that just has the numbers after the decimal. 4 or 5. Okay. You don't say and if it starts with just this, unless there's a number before it, no and. So write that number as if it was 74,345. So 70-4, 1,000, comma, even though there's not a comma after a decimal, that's where it would be if you were writing this number. $74,345, 340-5, 40-5. Now, one time we write the place of the very last number, tenth, hundredth, thousandth, 10,000th, 100,000th. So that's what we write, just the 100,000th, 1,000, THS. Okay, so that's how to write decimals into words. Now, the next thing that you're going to need to know will be writing from a decimal into a fraction. Okay? So the decimal, let's say you have the number 7.2. Okay, write this number with no decimals, okay, 7 and a 2, and you'll put it over what the place is. This is your 10th place, so that's how many tenths there will be. There's 72 tenths. If you have 8.34, write this without a decimal, 10th, 100th. Okay, so if there's one number, there's 1 0 here. Two numbers, 2 zeros. So if you have a number 27.456, you have 27456 with no decimals. There's 1, 2, 3 numbers, so there should be 3 zeros, 10th, 100th, 1,000th. So that's how to write it into a fraction from a decimal. Okay? Now let's go from a fraction to a decimal. Okay, fraction to decimal. Let's take the number 4 tenths. Okay, this number, write it down. You need it to be in this place value. The tenth is the first number after the decimal. So that will be the first number after the decimal is where your 4 is. So you always put a 0 in front of your decimal. 4 tenths is 4 in the tenths place. Okay, let's have two numbers. Let's say 83 100ths. Okay, let's write the 83. The last number needs to be in this place. 10th, 100th, so that is in the hundredths place, 10, 100. There's your number. Let's take this same number, put it in the 1,000th place. 83 1,000th. Okay, we put the decimal here and we put a 0, that won't have the 3 in our 1,000th place. We want to have 10th, 100th, 1,000th. That last number has to be in that place value. Has to be the third one. So we're going to have to start with 0.083. See, this 3 is the second one after the decimal. The 4, the first one after the decimal. So the number of zeros will be how many places behind the decimal this will be. This 3 is 3 places, 1, 2, 3. So if we did 42 to 10,000ths, we put 42, we know it needs to be 4 places behind the decimal. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have 42, 10, 100,000, 10,000ths. Okay? So that's how to put a fraction into a decimal. The next section is going to ask you which number is bigger. Let's pick a number like 0.07, 0.068. Okay. The first place value, they're the same. The second place value, they're different. So this is what you're going to compare. The first place value where they're different, following your decimal. So this number is larger than this. If we made this into 3 places and 3 places, you would see a 68 and a 70. This one is larger. Okay, if we had this number and this number, 0.07 and 0.68, look at your very first number after the decimal, okay, 0 and 6. This number would be larger, okay? This is like 7 cents. If you had a dollar sign, this would be 68 cents if you had a dollar sign here. So if you put dollar signs, you see, oh, definitely this is larger. Okay, so if you need to, make them the same length. So it'll make it easier. Like this number right here, you have a bunch of 9s and you have the number 1. Okay, this one doesn't have numbers after decimal. It's just like having zeros, just the number 1. Your first place would be your 1's place. A 0 is smaller than 1. So 1 is larger than no matter how many 9s you have there. This one is larger. Okay, if you have a number 0.5678, 0.56789. The same, then they're the same, they're the same, they're the same, up to this 8, they're the same. Okay, if you add a 0, make them the same length, you'll see that this one is larger. The 9 is larger than the 0. Okay, now let's round. Let's start by rounding to the 10th. The 10th place would be the first one after your decimal. So let's say we have a number 0.22. To the 10th, we're going to underline the 10th place. We're looking at the number that follows it, the number to the right. As long as if it's a 5 or bigger, you'll go up. It's not, so you leave it the same. So rounding it to the 10th, you leave it a 2. If you have the number 0.25, rounding it to the 10th, the 5 makes it go up. So that would round to 0.3. Okay, if we have numbers in front of the decimal, like 423.45, rounding to the 10th, we still underline the 10th, look at the one that follows it. Anything in front of that number, it stays the same. So we're going to have the 423 point, and then we'll decide what to do with this. 5 makes it 1 bigger, so it's 0.5. Let's do another one, 0.95. We're rounding to the 10th. Looking at the 5, we're going to go up. Okay, 9, if you add 1 to it, it makes it 10. So that would add 1 to the 3, to the 1th place right here. So we would have 424. 0.0. If you're rounding to the 10th, make sure you leave a number in your 10th place, even if it's a 0. Anything following that number, it gets dropped off. Okay, so let's do one, let's round 526.97235. We're still rounding to the 10th. This part doesn't even matter. You're just looking at the 10th and the number that follows it. When you round it, if you're rounding to the 10th, that's going to be the last number no matter how many numbers there are. The 7 will make the 9 go up to 10, which adds 1 to that. So 6 becomes 7. So this is what it rounds to when you're rounding to the 10th. Now let's round some numbers to the 100th. Round to 100th. Okay, that would be the second number after the decimal. 0.942. Underline your 100th. Look at the number that follows it. That's not a 5 or bigger, so leave it a 4. Everything in front of that stays the same. So that rounds to 0.94. Let's take some other numbers. Let's see, 4, 5. This is the 100th. We're looking at the 5. 5 or bigger would go up, so this becomes a 5. These remain the same. The 4 becomes a 5. Now let's see what happens when this is bigger. Let's say 0.9972. The 100th is right here. The 7 is a 5 or bigger. So the 7 will make this go up. When it becomes 10, this one becomes 10. So you end up with 1, but you need to write it as 1.00. You still need a number to be in your 100th place, even if it's a 0. And you know that you have rounded to the 100th place here. Okay, let's go to the nearest thousandth. Let's take this same number. Now we're doing the thousandth. 10, 100, thousandth. Look at this one. Not a 5 or bigger. It stays the same. The numbers in front of it stay the same. Okay. And that should be just about it for 4.1.